Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, it's chapter 3 of The Last Guardian by Jeff Grubb. I swear every new book I choose becomes slightly more difficult to adapt. But let's go! We'll start you off slow, take stock of the library, figure out how you're going to organise it. But first, it was breakfast time. Porridge and sausages, just as Morose had said. The conversation over the breakfast table was mostly about Dalaran. What was popular there? What were the fashions in Lordaeron these days? What kind of arguments did the Kirin Tor have? There is one current philosophical debate. When one creates a flame by magic, they can't seem to decide whether it's called into being or summoned from some parallel existence. Fools. They wouldn't know an alternate dimension if it came up and bit them on the... What do you think? I think it may be something else entirely. Excellent. When given a choice between two, always choose the third. Now, let's see how you do with the library. Morose will show you the way. Upon arrival at the library, Khadgar immediately saw that it was an absolute bloody disaster. Books and scrolls scattered all over the place, and a thin layer of dust covering pretty much everything. Start me off slow, he said. I could have your gear packed in an hour. No, it's just more of a challenge than I anticipated is all. Heard that before. Khadgar turned towards the bold weasel to ask what he meant by that, but Morose was gone. Bloody ninja, that guy. And so, Khadgar got started on the task at hand. He picked his way through the debris, examining each book and scroll and thing as he collected it. At one point, Khadgar picked up a book with an ornate metallic cover surrounded by scorch marks on the ground, and as he opened it, the book started to tick. So he very carefully closed it and placed it on a table. And it was at this point he realised this place wasn't just a tip, it was a death trap. So, Khadgar reached into his pocket and pulled out a Deus Ex Machina, a small metallic cricket gifted to him by one of his instructors back at Dalaran. Within it was a simple but effective spell that warned when a trap was nearby, so that's convenient. After winding the little metal cricket up, he waved it over the book that had been ticking, and unsurprisingly the cricket started screaming. So Khadgar set that trapped book to one side. He then picked up another volume, and the cricket was silent, so he set that book on a different side, and so on and so forth. I know you. Khadgar, sir. The new assistant. Of course. Forgive me. The memory is not what it once was. Too much going on, I'm afraid. Anything you need aid with, sir? Just the library, young trust. How are things going in the library? Good. Very good. I'm busy sorting the books and papers. Ah, by subject? Author? I'm thinking by subject. Eventually. Many are anonymous. Never trust anything that a man will not set his reputation and name upon. Now, about the Kirin Tor. To say the next week was like Groundhog Day would be a bit of an understatement. Each day began with porridge and sausages, a brief conversation with Medivh to discuss progress, which would then suddenly become a conversation about Dalaran, and then a whole lot of cleaning and organising in the library. But 1 week into Khadgar's stay, something was different. Medivh was nowhere to be seen. Gone. Gone where? I don't know. Well, what's he doing? I don't know. Well, when will he be back? I don't know. So he's just going to leave me alone in this tower, unsupervised with all of his stuff. I could stand guard over you if that's what you want. Khadgar shook his head. Morose. Young sir. These visions. Blinders? Do they show the future or the past? Both, I think. And the ones of the future, do they come true? In my experience, young sir, yeah. Cook once saw a vision of me breaking a piece of crystal, so she hid him away for months. Finally, the master asked for that piece of crystal, and within 2 minutes, bloody broke it, didn't I? Anyway, that's enough jibber-jabber. Work needs doing. On his way up to the library, Khadgar was ever so slightly troubled. He'd finished sorting the books into safe and unsafe piles, but now Medivh was gone, leaving him high and dry without further direction. The logical next step would be to restock the shelves with the books, but most of them were untitled, or so worn and scuffed that the titles were illegible, meaning the only way to determine the contents of a book would be to open it, which was fine for the safe pile, not so much for the pile that made the little cricket MacGuffin scream like it was on fire though. But the young assistant went ahead and got started, because there was no telling how long Medivh would be gone, and he couldn't just sit on his ass doing nothing. However, a short while into opening books, Khadgar came across one that he couldn't open, because it was locked. At no point during his cleaning and organising over the past week had he come across any kind of key lying around, so he went ahead and grabbed a knife, thread it into the lock, and heard a satisfying click of traps and locks. The nature of securing devices. Another 2 weeks passed, and in that time, Khadgar had basically claimed the library as his own. And thanks to that book about locks and traps, the young assistant had made quite a bit more progress in his task, because trapped books are a lot less intimidating once you understand how traps work. Knowledge is power and all that. There were still a few trapped books that Khadgar hadn't quite figured out yet though, but he resolved to find out what was within them, either on his own or by threading the knowledge out of Medivh at some point, if that was even possible. Thief! Interloper! Khadgar quickly turned to see Medivh standing in the doorway, who then began to intone a string of alien syllables and weave some kind of spell. Despite himself, the young assistant raised a hand and wove a symbol of protection, but he might as well have just been giving Medivh the middle finger or something, because the Magus' spell slammed hard into Khadgar and bowled him over. Who are you? What are you doing here? Khadgar. Assistant. Cleaning library. Medivh blinked at Khadgar's words and then straightened as if he'd just woken up. Sorry, lad. I'd forgotten you were still here. I assumed you were a thief. A thief that insisted on leaving the room neater than he found it. Medivh then looked around the room as if for the first time since entering it. Aye, I don't believe anyone else has ever gotten this far before. I've sorted by type. Histories, including epic poems to your right. Natural sciences on your left. Legendary material in the centre. More powerful material, alchemy, spell theory, go on the balcony. But some books I couldn't identify. You're going to have to look at those yourself. Yes. Excellent. Excellent job. Very good. Now, come with me. Medivh started to walk off, but then noted he was not being followed. Are you coming? Coming where? To the top? Come now, or we'll be too late. Time is of the essence. Medivh then hesitated for a moment. I apologise for before. My memory is not what it once was, young trust. I should have remembered you were in the tower. I assumed you were... Sir, you said time is of the essence? Time. Yes, it is. Don't lollygag. It was in this moment that Khadgar realised the haunted tower and disorganised library may not have been the only reason people swiftly left Medivh's employ. But he went ahead and followed the mages. Morose, the golden whistle, if you please. Already took the liberty, sir. They're here. They? Who's they? A sudden rustle of feathers sounded from above, and as Khadgar looked up, he saw some griffins descend from the sky. Hitch yours up and we'll go. I don't know how to... Did the Kirin teach anything of use? Medivh then muttered a few words and touched Khadgar's forehead, causing the young man to stumble back. Now you do know how. Let's go. Khadgar thought about it and gasped. Somehow, he bloody did know how to properly harness a griffin now, and how to ride one. That was new. Follow me. The pair then launched into the air. How long they flew, Khadgar could not say. He was too busy being amazed by the fact he was doing this thing that he didn't know how to do about 10 seconds ago. But eventually, they reached a large marsh, or swamp. And beneath them, Khadgar could see flames, from some kind of encampment. And as they drew closer, it became apparent that the flames were in fact wagons set alight, with corpses tossed like children's dolls on the sandy ground. It looked like a caravan that had been looted and set ablaze, and yet, the goods themselves were also scattered on the ground. Bandits would have taken the booty, and the wagons, Khadgar thought. So who did this? Suddenly, as if to answer that question, a whole bunch of arrows arched up from the surrounding brush. Medivh pulled back on his reins, avoiding the attack, but Khadgar wasn't so lucky. An arrow pierced Khadgar's griffin's wing, and the next thing Khadgar knew, he was no longer safely on his griffin's back. He was now plummeting unsafely to his death. And we're leaving it there! Believe it or not, this is a somewhat abridged version of that chapter. I skipped a few things. We've only done 3 chapters, we're already 68 pages into the book, so this one's going to be a bit of a challenge, I think. As usual, links in the description for the book, my Patreon page, my Discord, all of that stoof. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks. And all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!